I'm a philanthropy wonk, which means I'm oddly obsessed with the rules and regulations that shape how we use private resources for public good. So you might be wondering, what am I doing here in a room full of tech geeks and policy nerds? Well, I'm here to ask for your help. I'm here to convert you into philanthropy wonks. The future of good depends on it. I need your help to open up philanthropy, to bring foundations and their vast repositories of information about who's doing what in the social economy out into the open. I'm deliberately not using slides. I'm using a pen and paper because it's a meta image of how off the open grid most foundations are. But let me give you a little bit of background about the business of giving, the world of philanthropy. First of all, foundations in America are big business. There's $600 billion in assets in these organizations. They give away more than $40 billion a year. Add in another $10 billion or so that they give in loans or make in mission-related investments, and you're up to about $50 billion. That's not chump change. But as big as it is, it's only about a sixth of the total giving that just Americans do each year. Of course, we do it in slightly smaller increments, $50 here, $100 there, but they all add up to over about $240 billion in giving each year. And it looked at it this way: philanthropy is your typical long-tail industry. We've got lots of small givers giving to and sustaining the 1.5 million nonprofits in the US alone. And in the last decade, technology has made our jobs as small givers much more efficient. We can use any one of a number of online platforms to make our donations. How many of you have used Kiva, Kickstarter, Donors Choose? Or have you checked information on GuideStar or Charity Navigator? So you know what I mean. That you know what it's like to search for a project or an organization that's been vetted, the due diligence has been done, you can find the giving opportunity, you can get feedback directly from the recipient organization, you can see what others are doing, you can see what other kind of feedback is available, and you can provide your own feedback. It's an efficient use of data and due diligence. It's collected once, it's shared many times, and it's all done publicly. How many of you have ever sought funding from a foundation? It's a slightly different process. Instead of posting opportunities and letting the money find them, every foundation applicant needs to present a customized proposal, you do the background research, you put the evidence together, you pour that information together, you send it to the foundation, and then you wait. Whether or not the foundation makes a grant, all of that information you put together about the community or the issue that you care about has disappeared into their vaults forever. In a best case scenario, the due diligence that the foundation program officer does results in a single grant. In the usual scenario, the due diligence that the foundation program officer does results in no grant and no information sharing on what was proposed. Imagine being able to unlock the vaults of the Carnegie Corporation, literally the granddaddy of American foundations, about what they know about after-school programs in your community, or the knowledge that Ford or the Open Society Institute have about voting rights organizations, or what we could learn from the Gates Foundation about improving libraries or distributing vaccines. Now, there was a time when the financial resources of endowed foundations were what agents of change needed most. But today, in an era of deep data mining, pattern recognition, network analysis, and open government, open source, and web scraping, what we need are their data. Sure, we'll take their money, but we need their data. Here's a short list of the data that's going unharvested in foundations. Who's doing what? What's needed in specific communities? How much does it cost to provide certain community services? Most foundations do exactly the opposite of the efficient online giving platforms. They receive many and they use once. It's an unsustainable production of data waste. Now, to their credit, there are foundations that are starting to open up. The Charles Stewart Mott Foundation in Flint, Michigan streams all of its grants in RSS feeds and pumps them all out on Twitter, and you can download their entire grants data set right off their website in machine-readable format. The Pew Research Centers provide live, machine-readable versions of their data sets on public attitudes, internet use, and the state of the media. The Packard Foundation, in an aptly named gold mine project, is currently releasing more than 10 years' worth of data available as well as the surveys and the questioning of that data, the querying of the data that they're doing about their grant making in certain areas. And the Hewlett Foundation, which recently realized that there was a bit of irony in their funding program for open educational resources, that if in fact they were trying to change the world by funding those who shared knowledge, they themselves needed to share that knowledge, have put up on their website the full proposals for your use of those seeking funding in open educational resources. How many of you are familiar with the symbol of the Ouroboros, the ancient Greek snake where the tail is eating the head? That's what we need to create here. We need to unleash the innovation and the efficiency of the long tail of giving and unleash the knowledge and data that's stored at the head of the philanthropic funding beast. There are platforms out there that offer us some great models for this. Right now, Donors Choose is hosting a hacking education hackathon in which they've opened up their API and their data sets to anyone who wants to do trend analysis of the thousands, the tens of thousands of requests from classroom teachers around the country about what they need. Imagine if we mashed up that information, literally from the perspective of the student's desk, what classroom teachers need, what they're asking for, with the data from the big foundations about what they're funding in school reform, and the information from the public sector about the race to the top grants. My goodness, we might actually know what's going on in our schools. Another case, Jumo, which is right down the street here, offers an open platform for anyone to post projects and data. What if we could get the grant stream from the Foundation Center, also just up the street up Fifth Avenue, which has 40 years worth of grants information from foundations, streamed into Jumo, so that when you read about a certain project, you could also see which, if any, foundations have funded it. You could make your own decisions and provide feedback on both the organization and on the foundation funding. We need more funders to share the information they glean from us, from the proposals they receive. The Buckminster Fuller Institute does this. After each of its annual funding competitions, it posts the unfunded proposals in an online idea index. It gives a second and third life to those ideas. It helps the people behind them find potential partners, and it may even result in funding for the ideas that were proposed. So how do we get more foundations to share this information? It's a little bit tricky. They're neither rational market actors, nor are they subject to the pressure of electoral politics. So we need some different strategies here, and I think we need those that mix demand with use, with pride, plus a little ambition. We need public demand to unlock the foundation data. A public movement of donors, and that's all of us, who are using the other platforms, who are looking for vetted, credible information on what works and what doesn't. What's our collective interest in this? We're the foundation's exit strategy. We are the sustaining support for most of the things foundations fund, either as donors or as taxpayers. No foundation-funded program keeps going without us. Here are 3 easy things you can do to help get this movement started. First of all, ask them for the data. There's an old adage, when you want money, ask for advice. Now, when you want money, ask them for the data. Ask them what they know about the issue. Ask them if they can put their data about certain organizations on those same online giving platforms. If you use a foundation's grant list as a resource in your own giving, let them know that and share that information online. 2, give them permission to share your information. Proactively suggest to the foundations that it's okay with you for them to share your ideas with other funders. Encourage them to seek partners on your behalf. And 3, most importantly, and what I think many of you in this room are uniquely capable of doing, is show them what their data look like. Show them what they know. We need a data hackathon that puts foundation data, apps that mix private funding with public data streams, and trend analyses such as the one Donors Choose is doing to make sense of the information the funders are sitting on. If you're tech inclined, we need data circuit riders. The rest of us need to create the beginning of what I would think of as a philanthropic peer-to-patent system, where we're bringing in the resources of a certain set of experts and the wisdom of the crowds to begin to make better decisions about what will work in our communities. And finally, we need to hold foundations accountable. They're holding private resources and trust for the public good, and we need to hold them accountable to that public good. Right now, they're only accountable for the money that they spend. There's no accountability for how they share what they learn or how they use the data that they create in service of those public goods. As Dan Singer said yesterday, there are 2 ways we can go about this. The first is through public demand. By asking, giving, using, and showing them their data in context, we can show the foundations the value of that asset. And if that fails, well, we can always wield the blunt cudgel of regulation. If we can't get foundations to share their information by showing them how to do it, if I fail to convert you to philanthropy wonkdom, if I fail to create a public movement to unleash this data, I'll be back next year asking for your support for the Freedom of Foundation Information Act.